Hello traders, today is Saturday, January 4th, 2024. I'm going to start the video with Apple. Keep in mind, this is not financial advice. This content is for educational purposes only. Let's start with, let's do Apple. And very interesting as far as, the behavior of the stock. I think that 35 SMA, where I don't think it's pretty obvious that 35 SMA is really holding, is being choppy the last 2 days for Apple. You can see this from this was, let's start on Thursday, and then you have Friday that was pretty much flat. It was down 0.20%. The only red name out of this list of the Magnificent Seven, I have MAGS added to this list because it's an ETF that trades on these names anyways. So I do think that if we, I guess my thesis on the 237 level still in play, I think if we break the 35 SMA, we're going to go down towards 237. And probably at that point, we're going to find support if we actually come down to this level. Now, one thing that is quite interesting is that the 35 SMA is really holding in this case, even though this indicator is not a strong indicator when there is actually a strong volume or momentum. So we had a little bit of a, I guess, of a slowdown on Friday. The volume was, was less volume than the day before, basically 15,000. I'm sorry, 15 million less than what we had on Friday. So that was on Thursday. And let's take a look at what we had on Monday. Monday was also 40 million. Anyways, I do think that if we don't hold on the 35 SMA, we're probably going to go down towards 237. At that point, we're probably going to have a good level of opportunity. So Apple, for now, is starting to look more and more enticing. I do have Apple calls. I only have 6 contracts right now, and they are for, I believe, July. And I'm probably going to start adding if we continue going down. I prefer if this goes up, but if we continue going down, I'm just going to add to that position all the way towards, a higher number of contracts. MACD and TSI is still looking bearish, and that is why I think we are probably going to break the 35 SMA. So these guys is still, or these lower indicators is still looking bearish. The RSI is starting to slow down, which is a good sign. But again, we have low liquidity. These indicators telling you a story as well. So 237 is likely. Now, if we manage to range in this area around 240, that would be also very, I guess, beneficial for the stock to continue going to the upside at one point. But for now, just keep an eye on the 35 SMA, which in my opinion is looking strong, but the MACD and the TSI are telling me that we're probably going to break to the downside, probably. And keep an eye on the 237 support level. Worst case scenario, you go to 233, and that is going to be a level of, major support in my opinion. But seems like Apple is setting up for a very nice opportunity. I don't know if for next week, but maybe the following week. But we'll see. We'll see how we trade next week. Next week is going to be a 4-day trading week. You have Jimmy Carter's day on Thursday, I believe, which is a bunch of BS, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, that's what I have. Let's move on to another name that I mentioned on my last video, and that is AMD. And interesting day for AMD. It was up almost 4%, 3.93%. Very nice candle in this area, but I don't think we have any reasons to celebrate yet. I did put a post on X saying, or asking, if we're finding a bottom. I'm not sure yet. I think that 121 or 120 is a very strong area. I mean, you can see it right here. I like the fact that on Friday we had or yesterday, Friday, we had a very solid day. I think if we break above this volume shelf right here, we're probably going to move more comfortably towards 135. And at that point, you're going to meet, or before 135, you're going to meet the 35 SMA, which I think if you have momentum, you're just going to go through it. and mid 135. MACD and TSI are looking better. They were looking neutral on Tuesday, and then you had on Thursday it started looking a little bit iffy, and then on Friday we got buyers coming in. Volume is increasing a little bit, which is also a good thing. RSI is looking better than what it has been looking like in a while. But also keep in mind that we had back in December, but towards the end of December, we had this move to the upside, and then we end up fading. Granted, we had Christmas and the holidays and lack of volume and whatnot, so that also pushes tax harvesting and that sort of stuff. So that pushes the stock to the downside. But again, I like the fact that we moved up 4%. We might continue. This sector gain a little bit of a strength on Friday. So it would be interesting to see how that develops. So let's move on to the next name. Now, I was looking at this before. Very beautiful. Okay, I'm not covering ASTS today, but it was up 10%. I think it's worth keeping an eye on this range for ASTS. But let's move on to, I want to mention Amazon. I haven't mentioned Amazon in a while, so let's do it. Let's go with Amazon. And so I draw this. I think I did post this on X. I think that we have to break this level, but this is looking great. The MACD and the TSI, up until Tuesday or Thursday, it was looking like it was going to continue going straight down towards the zero line. Now it's not. It looks like it's curling, just like what you saw right here. Now and it's pretty much at the same level. It is curling towards the signal line. Nothing is set yet. Nothing is set on a stone, in my opinion, for now. But I think if we break this trend line, which is very defined, then we're going towards new all-time highs. I do have a position on Amazon. I did get some calls on Amazon on Friday. And I just have, I think that we're going to start moving again towards the upside as we get closer to Trump, taking office, which I think is the 21st. Well, this is looking good. The RSI is looking pretty well, pretty good. The TSI is losing strength to the downside. That is good, which means that it might get momentum to the upside. The histogram is looking better. The MACD is looking better as well. But again, you just have to break this level of resistance on this trend line. You're respecting the 35 SMA on the daily chart. And then I guess we're probably going to move towards new all-time highs, which we definitely have room for that. Now let's do the next name, which is, I've been mentioning this name for a while. I did mention this on the 2nd, which was my last video. That was when Thursday. And GEV. So look at this last candle and look, or maybe go back to some of my videos. And I've been really hoping and waiting for this to move towards the resistance line. Now we are at a critical level. We're mounting the 35 SMA, and we have done it with momentum. That is important. 4.45% on the day for Friday. MACD and TSI, you see these lower indicators here, are looking much better than what we are seeing right here. You got rejected on this candle. The candle is not the best candle, but this candle is looking like now buyers are stepping in again. And I really like how this looks. I think I personally might buy some calls for GEV in the next trading day, which is Monday. Or we'll see how I guess futures look pre-market. Let's see how this stock looks pre-market, and hopefully it doesn't really rally before the bell, because if that's the case, then I might actually have second thoughts about getting options that I don't know. I just have to see. But this looks beautiful. Or might as well maybe just buy a bunch of stocks and a bunch of shares and go with this instead of options. But this is looking fantastic. I think this is going to continue moving. You have this move that you had here coming out of this trend or range, and the only reason why you came down under the support level was because August 5th, and then you just rally all the way to to the top of where we are right now. So we are right on this level right here. This is fantastic. We're right under all-time highs. Well, this is not a very old name, but we definitely have a lot of room to continue going up. It's worth actually keeping an eye on this. Now let's take a look at, I got distracted for a second. My dog is barking downstairs. Okay, let's take a look at HIMS. And quite interesting. So I said a couple of things. We could go towards 23.5. We were very close on, what is that, Tuesday? Yes. And then on Thursday, you had, this is not an inside candle, but you had this move to the upside, which was 4.22%. And the following day, you moved up 5.6%. Quite interesting move. MACD and TSI are looking much better to the upside. I think now that this might actually start moving to the upside. Your new level of support is 25.7 and resistance 29.7 as well. I'm moving my range from 21 right now because of the strength of what I'm seeing on the stock, from to the downside to 23 and 29.7. So you can still have a sell-off, I believe, towards 23.5. But I think this level of support is going to consolidate a little bit more. It's going to get stronger. And it is already strong. Look how old it is. It goes back to 2021. Interesting. There is opportunity in HIMS, again, I believe. I love the fact that you have more liquidity here, so it doesn't look as precarious to the upside or the downside, especially the downside as what we saw in this area right here. Back when we were in this, looking at these candles, there was no liquidity in this area, and that's why you were moving to the downside so quickly. And you went down up until actually this week, all the way to 23.5. I think this move is going to, have a continuation towards the 35 SMA. At that point, you are at 27 or 28, and then you're moving towards 29.7, 29.8. You break this level of resistance, all-time highs again. So there is opportunity in HIMS. There's some setups that are coming after last week, and setups that will be coming. I think I mentioned that on my last video as well. I guess from next week, and then, towards the end of the month, I think there is going to be some solid setups. There's going to be some solid moves in anticipation of Trump taking office again, unless something really, really crazy happened, right? Like on January 1st, we had a couple of terrorist attacks and whatnot, and I personally see some symbolism on the fact that it happened right in the beginning of the year. But definitely, if nothing really crazy happens between now and then, between now and the 21st, I do believe that we are going to see a rally again, and we're going to make money, just like what we did in this area right here. Fantastic. Let's move on. Robinhood. Also, take a look at Robinhood. Almost 5%. I was really hoping for Robinhood to go down. I think Robinhood is going to be like an 80-something dollar stock this year. HIMS, about what, 75 in a conservative, from a conservative point of view. Okay, let's talk about IWM. And let me take a note here. Look at this. I do think if we break resistance here at 220, what is it, 224, 225, where is going to start moving? Where is going to start moving strong? There's low liquidity in this area. You have a pretty large volume shelves in this area, which were also part of, I would say, support for this price action right here. MACD and TSI are looking phenomenal. They are not crossing the signal lines yet, but they are looking good. It looks like the MACD is going to cross the signal line before the TSI, which is fine. And the RSI is already well on its way to the upside towards 50. So we'll see what happens next week. Again, I do think that we are going to see moves to the upside on the Russell again, which means that all the mid cap and small cap names are probably going to start moving rapidly again. I think all of that, we're going to see probably I'm saying this, we're probably going to see some pretty decent move or moves to the upside. So IWM is looking fantastic. Your resistance level is 25. And then keep an eye on the MACD and the TSI and how they behave, especially the TSI, which gives you the strength of the stock. And food for thought, you have low liquidity here, all the way towards 235. So that is good. 235 is right where the 35 SMA is actually at right now. Let's move on to, let's take a look at Lucid. And I was looking at this chart, a few days ago, and I mentioned this on one of my videos. I think I mentioned Lucid somewhere. Now I need to take a look when I mentioned Lucid. I have records on the 21st. Wow, that was before I went to the East Coast. So I was on this candle right here, or this candle right here. On this candle. I was looking at this candle. And one of the things that I love is this kind of formations. So you have this round bottom. It doesn't, sometimes you don't have that, a little bit of a sell-off that gives you a cap and candle kind of setup. But I love when it breaks. It broke with this candle at 14%, went over the 200 SMA, filled this gap. Let's get rid of the gap. And now I got rejected on the 325 SMA, which is something that I said in one of my videos. And you're probably going to hit the 325 SMA and get rejected and get into range between these two indicators. This is a 200 SMA. This is a 325 SMA. Now on Friday, interestingly enough, 8.58% to the upside. And you got rejected on the 325 SMA. I think this level is critical for Lucid for a continuation. Now, is this name piggybacking on Rivian? Maybe. Funny enough, since I started mentioning Lucid again, I've been seeing these cars quite often on the freeways and on the streets. Now I live in California, so definitely people are more inclined to get this type of cars. So that's basically anecdotal. But I do believe that, let me take a look at this level right here. I do believe that it's worth keeping an eye on Lucid. Look at this. I have this level right here, right where we are. So you have these two candles, this support, it broke support, and now you're right under again. So yeah, seems like 336, 335 is a pretty strong level of resistance and support for Lucid. Now, if you break this level, you have low liquidity. Just be very mindful. Lucid is one of those names that, fundamentally speaking, is risky. Therefore, technicals sometimes don't really apply. You have to be very, very opportunistic on how you trade these names. This setup was pretty obvious. You had everything going on. You had this formation right here. You had it right here on the lower indicators as well. Everything was painting the same picture, and then you moved up. Again to the upside. Now you can argue that if we move these two things, this curve right here, now you can say, well, that's a cap and handle. Okay, maybe, but this move was pretty nice. I don't have any fundamental hopes for Lucid as far as this company really making a huge mark on the EV industry, at least for now. So, but what I'm seeing on the chart is not looking bad at all. So keep an eye on this resistance level at 3.35. And then after that, maybe you might have a continuation. You're breaking this resistance, which is important, and you're hitting the 325 SMA right on that resistance. It reminds me a little bit when Datadog was, the resistance level was right on the 200 SMA, and then when it broke, it just moved up pretty strongly. Not the same setup, but it just gives me a little bit of a feel like that. Anyways, let's move on to another name that I mentioned on my last video, and I told you that it was going to move, and it did. So this is MBLY, and look at this. It was up 8.39% over the 200 SMA. Beautiful. Now you are in a level on an area that has very low liquidity towards resistance at 24.8. My price target on my last two videos was 25, and I think we're gonna hit the price target. Very, very nice move. When did I mention? I mentioned the last time based upon this, based upon my notes, was on the 30th. So or the first time that I started mentioning this, it was on this candle right here on the 30th. What I said, you had to break the 200 SMA, and then I mentioned this on the 2nd, which was Thursday. And yeah, I said the same thing both times. You have to break the 200 SMA, you're there, and then you're gonna go towards 25. Once you get to 25 and you break, you're gonna hit the 325 SMA, which tends to be a little of a stronger resistance or support level, depending on the case. But if you break these two areas right here, this key level and this indicator, you're probably gonna feel this gap. No doubt about it. What a great opportunity. Like, I'm looking at this. I was trading MobileEye around here, and then I kind of forgot about it, but look at this thing. What a beautiful move. Let's measure it and see how much. Wow, 109% since then, since September 12th. Incredible, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Imagine if you got calls right here, somewhere in this area, September, so October, November, December, like March calls. Man, you will be so happy. You will be in the thousands percentage wise. But anyways, I think this has room towards 25. You're probably gonna hit 25. You're getting momentum. It actually showed a relative strength towards the sell-offs that we had last week, and I think on Monday as well. So we'll see how this continue to behave. 25 is my price target. Once you hit that area, you have to mount the 325 SMA, and at that point, you're probably gonna feel this gap right here. There's a lot going on right here, but this area is lacking liquidity, so I think we're gonna move very nicely. You might get rejected here at 25, and the only reason I'm saying that because once you get to this level, if we continue moving like this, you're gonna be in overbought territory. These indicators are gonna be extended, but now you have the 200 SMA as support. I don't want to get too into the weeds, but 25 for now is my price target for MobileEye. Now let's move on to Meta. Let me take a quick note on Meta, and interesting. I did get some contracts on Meta again. And what did I say on Thursday? Is that if we break the 600 level, 603, 602, whatever, I was going to get into Meta. So I did. Now these contracts are completely flat. I'm not going to lie, because I waited up to break this level. So I did buy somewhere where the price is right now. I did buy August calls, or either August or September, but I think it's August. And I'm gonna see how they behave. But I love the fact that you had, pressure going towards breaking this level of resistance. You are on top of the 335 SMA, and you also are moving very nicely on these lower indicators. They don't look as bearish as they did a couple of days ago, or a couple of trading days ago. On Tuesday, they looked very bearish, but now they're cooling back up to the upside, very close to the zero line, which is a good thing. You have a double bottom on the, I just noticed that on the other side, and you have a double bottom here. Let's go to the 4 hour and see. Yeah, that looks much better. Okay, I didn't see that. I just noticed it. So I think we're probably going to continue moving towards all-time highs. Let me put a line here just for good measure. So we have this move here. Liquidity is pretty decent, so it's not there's not a lack of liquidity, and there's not an excess of liquidity. So I think we're just gonna have a smooth move to the upside if we continue on this trend. Now if we break, then you have to go back to the 35 SMA, and or maybe keep an eye on the 575 key level. But for now, let's just focus on this move and at least think that this might actually continue going towards 630 or 639, depending where you want to see it. But yeah, Meta is looking good. And now I wanna, I just realized that I wanted to cover Bitcoin, but I forgot. Okay, let's do Microsoft. And let me take a quick note. Okay, right on this trend line, you had a rebound on Thursday on the 415 level. The MACD and the TSI still looking bearish, but not as bad. I think that Microsoft, if next week has momentum and volume, which I think it will, I think we're going to break over the 200 SMA. And at that point, you have an entry, I guess, signal to get into Microsoft again. There's definitely opportunity here. I love how this is looking. I think we can actually take up, be opportunistic and take some, make some money here. I love the fact that you're respecting this trend line. You kind of did on this candle, but this candle broke and then came back right on the trend line. And this trend line is coming from August 1st, 5th. Yes. And so you're bouncing on this line again. We just have to break the 200 SMA and I think we're going to move. Let's take a look at the 5-minute. Yeah, you came down. So look at the prior day. You really had this sell-off, then came back up on support at 415, and then it opened. Sellers came back in. You got to this trend line, and then you came back in. I don't care much about those indicators in this case, not on the 5-minute. You have to break the 200 SMA to, or at least for myself, to feel more comfortable. At that point, if you break that 200 SMA, these indicators are going to be curling towards their signal line, and it's going to be more comfortable, at least for me, to feel like, it's a good opportunity to maybe anticipate this move to the upside. Now, let's move on to MSTR. And quite interesting move on MSTR. We almost hit my price target to the downside, which was 280. You were at 279.73 or something. And then you are up 13%. Now, Bitcoin is at 98. Let's go to Bitcoin really quick. And it's maintaining this range. It's right on the 35 SMA. Interesting. You have a lot of liquidity here, so I'm not surprised. And this is actually lagging a little bit. I'm moving a little bit slow. But let me get rid of this. But I'm not surprised that it's taking some time to get into this level of resistance at basically 100. Now, if we hit 100 again, we might see MSTR continue moving. One thing that I see a lot in online is that, the way that MicroStrategy uses, I guess, is capital or the stock price to get more Bitcoin. And that could be problematic for some investors. It's risky, in my opinion, because you're diluting the value of the stock. But you're also getting, I guess, an asset on the other hand. So it's not going, in a way, I don't think it's being, it's not wasted money, in my opinion. Now, I could be completely off on what I'm saying, but at least that's the way I see it. So keep an eye on this key level right here, which is the 365. This name tends to move pretty quickly. So you were up $40 yesterday. So you were under 300 at 299 or something, and now you are at 339.66. So these moves are very dramatic, very strong moves. So if you hit 261, you can easily hit that on Monday. Break the 35 SMA, you're basically going to be at the same level on Monday on the 35 SMA, and then move on towards 441. I think this move can be very, very quick if the momentum continues. I think if Bitcoin continues to perform towards the end of the day today and maybe tomorrow and towards Monday morning, all these names right here, which are, Bitcoin proxies or whatnot, are going to continue rallying. Like, all of them moved pretty strongly on, let's take a look at Mara, pretty strongly on on how Bitcoin was working or looking at, especially on Friday. Let's take a look at Riot. Look at these names. Beautiful. Wolf. Fantastic. Look at that rebound. So yeah, all of these names, CLSK, Coin, Cores, Iron, Mara, MSTR, Riot, Wolves, I think they're all gonna move. So Wolf also had a nice level of resistance, just like MSTR. Mara is coming back of resistance. There is a lot of setups, not only on this sector, but in a lot of names that have the same, that are doing the same thing. Iron, look at this, all of them. Of course, I think is not there. Even Coin close, and then interesting. Anyway, keep an eye on this level of resistance right now, but basically all of these names are looking quite interesting. Feel free to add these names to your list, and also feel free to copy all these levels, which in a lot of cases are very, very precise. Now let's move on to, I want to take a look, and this is basically going to tell you my outlook for next week. Let's take a look at NQ. And what is interesting right now is you broke the 35 SMA, which was right on this level of support at 21.3, went down, came back up, and now you're mounting it with momentum and breaking support, I'm sorry, resistance at 21.3 with a very solid day, 1.65%. I think a lot of people were panicking or having doubts, that we were gonna get into a pretty strong correction, even maybe going down into a bear market. Some people really panic when they see a few red days, but I personally wanted to be a little bit cautious on what was coming out of my mouth. I just wanted to see more. I just wanted to be past last week, and Friday was an indication that we might, or it's very possible, we're going to have a continuation to the upside. Now NQ is looking great in my opinion. Let's go to lower time frames. Let's go to the 2 hour and take a look. Look at this. So you have this level right here, pretty strong level at 21 even. That takes us, yeah. So you have this level at 21 that if you have a line right here, it's been pretty strong. And we have a lot of room to continue going up. What was this day? Yeah. So there is definitely room to continue going to the upside. Just be cautious, I guess. There's a lot of unknowns, but that happens all the time, regardless of the situation. There is a lot of unknowns that could happen no matter what. But I guess for what I'm seeing on this chart, looks like we're gonna continue going to to the upside. I had if you go see my videos from Tuesday and Monday of the last Tuesday and last Monday, I was saying that we had to actually pay a lot of attention to Thursday and Friday. And Thursday and Friday were gonna give us basically the roadmap for probably the continuation of the next 2 weeks or even 3 weeks. And here we are. Friday was a confirmation. Thursday was choppy as you could possibly get, but when Friday was really solid as far as giving us direction. Now you have this level of support here, which is gonna play if we have any red towards the opening of the market on Monday. So now we have more levels to count on. You're still over the 35 SMA. The MACD and the TSI on the NQ are not looking bad. They're curling up now. They are not looking as bearish as they did when we were right here, towards the last week of December. So this is looking good. Let's move on to another name, and I tell you what I did with Nvidia. So let's talk about Nvidia. I did have calls. I think there were September calls on Nvidia. This thing was moving pretty strong, so I sold my calls just to take my profits. And so I did sell somewhere around here, right on the top, because I was like, well, this extended is breaking, is moving very aggressively, blah, blah, blah. And then I started looking at the chart, and I did draw this on the 15-minute. I was looking at the 15-minute chart. And then when we were here, I started going to the 5-minute on that drawing. So I was looking at one of these candles right here, and then to the 1-minute. And right when we were somewhere around here on the 35 SMA, rebounding on the 35 SMA, granted, I was looking at the 35, and then making decisions on lower frame, time frame, charts. So I did get, I think, on either this red candle or the following, I started getting another position, September as well. So I did take my money here, and then I opened another position here, and I started building a position towards in this run right here, and then I left it alone. These are, I believe they are September calls, and I'm just gonna leave them there. Now I think next week is gonna be eventful for Nvidia. CES is happening next week, so we'll see how that goes. MACD and TSI on Nvidia are looking pretty good, and this sector is starting to push again. This chart was looking fantastic, and that is why I did buy some calls down here, and I got out. I think because I was traveling, I couldn't get out any. So I bought somewhere around here, and I think I got out on this candle right here, towards the top of the candle, somewhere around here. So I could have. I remember I was doing some Christmas shopping, and I was looking at my phone, and I was like, I should get out, but I wanted to pay attention to my family, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna be trading while I'm buying stuff for my family. So I was like, well, whatever. They were August calls, I believe. Anyways, I did sell here, took some money, then I bought again, and then I sold somewhere, I guess, in this candle, and then I got another position for September. And I've been playing Apple and Microsoft and Amazon that way when they were actually on their way up. So when Amazon was somewhere in this area towards earnings, I was playing swing calls, dated swing calls. Now let's talk about Tesla. Okay. So one of the things that I said, I guess I was probably wrong on my thesis. Excuse me, but hear me out. I was looking at this candle on my last video, and on the last two videos, we were looking at these candles. We were breaking resistance or support at 415 or so, which is prior all-time highs from 2 years or 3 years ago. We went down under 35 SMA, okay? And then, so what I was thinking is like, we're probably gonna hit 365, and maybe at that point, we're gonna, rally back up. But if we break 365, go back to the videos, we're probably gonna go down towards 330. Some people were saying, we're going down towards under 300, very unlikely. But what I said is my range is 330, and 415. But I was also keeping or considering this level of support as a very strong or a critical level of support, 365. Now, we didn't get to 365. Obviously, I was looking at this candle. But the following day, on Friday, we went up 8.22%. Incredible move. Now, the MACD and the TSI, now that we have this move, are looking much better. Just be very cautious in how we break the level of resistance at 415. I think that Tesla now has momentum to continue going up, but this is Tesla. You could have a Monday that actually is going to rip down again towards 365, but I think that 365 now is becoming a very strong level of support if we ever touch it again. I do believe that it's very possible that we will, but for now, I think this is starting to look more bullish, just considering the fact that we went up 8.22% on Friday. You're mounting the 35 SMA with, of course, momentum. You had a very decent level of volume. The day before you had more volume, 109 million, and on Friday you had 95 million. But You also had bad news, which I also called in this in one of these videos that I said, the catalyst or the problem with that we can hit 365 because of the delivery news, if they were bad, and they did. But then the next day again, it's gonna move. We actually move 8.22%. One of the things that is making me very, I guess, bullish on Tesla isn't the fact that he is, or Elon is, basically, you see him with Trump everywhere, and that's a good thing for Tesla. I think that Tesla is really going to benefit from this administration, and Tesla really, really have a lot of room to the upside. This is such an incredible situation. But again, Tesla, I think, is gonna. If you've been trading Tesla for a while, you understand exactly what I'm saying. Tesla is gonna do Tesla things. Don't be surprised if you go down towards 365 and then you rally up towards 500 faster than what you think. And you can actually see that here. Look how bumpy it could get, right? But it gets you where it gets you, right? So we had these moves here, which I was calling back then. Then we had this really, really ripping move towards 265, and then you went down to 185, and then from there you basically found yourself at 500. You had these choppy days here, but then you continue moving like very, very strongly to the upside. Just be mindful when you trade Tesla. Really have a good strategy. Really have an entry and exit point. If you're trading options, don't day trade options, meaning if you're gonna day trade options, still buy dated options. That's my suggestion, because that way you at least have, if things are not going your way, you at least can sit back and wait for a few more days and see how the stock is gonna behave. The Tesla has a particular way of moving. It's so susceptible to news and to opinions that good stuff can really push Tesla tremendously to the upside, and just bad stuff can just push it really hard. Anyways, that's what I have for you guys. I'll see you probably on Monday. I'm gonna be busy tomorrow, but thank you so much. Please subscribe and like the video. Leave some comments. I really appreciate them, and I will see you guys on Monday. Thank you. Bye bye.